What is up, everybody? Man, those Lethal Weapons ads. Gotta love them. Gotta love these freaking Lethal Weapons ads. Guys, if you don't already know about Lethal Weapons, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to feed you, baby birds. I was just at the range today shooting an FAL, a G36, a fancy folder Mini 14, A2 carry handle, A1 carry handle, a Galil, SAR, a Galil, MAR, I can't even think, MP5K, dual Scorpions. We brought a lot of stuff to the range today to like film more Lethal Weapon stuff to get you guys excited about shooting things other than super Gucci AR-15s. There's a whole wide world out there of really cool, really classic guns that your dad was really into and that our guest today is really into. So today I want to bring on someone very special, and we're going to bring him up in just a moment. Our guest is best well known for roller guns. It's in the name, Mr. Steve MP5. He's really well known for HK clones. He's got a really rare gun that we'll talk about later that I don't think many people own. The Tommy builds, the HK clones, all kinds of roller guns. He's your guy. He had some interesting things happen at SHOT Show that we want to talk about. We're going to get into YouTube. We have a major update with YouTube with all the craziness that's been going on. I can't wait to get into that. And yeah, man, I'm going to answer a couple of comments here. And then we're going to bring our awesome guest online. What's up, everybody? Danger Doggo, AK Lover, Super Geo Killer. It's good to see you here with us, man. We had an awesome meeting with a helicopter sponsor. That's what I was doing all day today at the range, meeting with the helicopter sponsor. We really want to try to integrate helicopters into Lethal Weapons, whether it's giving rides or whatever. We're really trying to pull that off. I think we really found the right company to do that. Gunpowder Nitro. Bubba76. Hey, remember, two questions. Two questions to start the night off, man. Number one, what are you drinking? I've got some Tula Modul, Irish whiskey, and where are you from? What are you drinking? Where are you from? Just light the comments up. Tell us what you're drinking, where you're from. It's Saturday night. No one's got to work tomorrow. Most of you guys hopefully don't work on Sunday mornings. I won't be. Mountain Dew in Tennessee. That's probably the best answer we're gonna have all night, man. Awesome. Lipton green tea. Oh man. Jerry K, my boy. I was just talking about Jerry. When were we talking about Jerry? I was just talking to Tony about Jerry on the phone the other day. We were talking to Krebs Custom, and he was asking about that 50 cal that Jerry won at Kalash Bash, and he was like, "Does that guy actually use that?" I'm like, "Oh, Jerry's gonna use it. You must not know Jerry." Richella Bella in the chat. I do want to ask everyone, now that you know Miss Richella Bella's in the chat, try to moderate the chat. If you see something, say something. She says a lot of anti-Semitic stuff. She's not good about asking pronouns. That's not her strong suit. If you see something that's a little hurtful, let me know and I will boot her ass. I'm not afraid to do so. Rachel, you've already heard it. Like, let's keep the anti-Semitism to a bare minimum tonight. Yeah. All right, let me kill this music. We're going to bring this bad Johnny on. Bring this down just a little bit. Yeah, no, we like to feed the ducks, they call this. There we go. All right, everyone, please give it up for Mr. Steve MP5.
What's going on, guys?
So, my man, Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself, and while you're doing that, tell us where people can find you before we even get into your background, how we met. Where's a good place for people to go right now and learn about Mr. Steve MP5?
So really where the majority of my content lives, which is most daily, is Instagram. Just at Steve_MP5 on Instagram. I pretty much post daily on there. Maybe Sundays I take the day off, but mostly every other day I'm on. And then YouTube also, just Steve_MP5 as well. I post maybe weekly if I can. If I got stuff to do, I'll post a video up a week. But yeah, Instagram is usually where it's pretty frequent, and we got a lot of stuff going on.
Is that thing real?
Oh yeah, the XM8,
God.
man. Yeah, that's
Freaking
probably
XM8, dude.
That's the crown jewel, I think, maybe, of the collection.
Oh, dude, I think it would be the crown jewel of my collection. And just before we get too deep, I want to show everyone your YouTube channel.
Sure.
Which is actually how I found you. Before I ever knew that you were on Instagram, I found you on YouTube. And the video had nothing to do with MP5s.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, it's not always roller lock stuff. I mean, a lot of my early, like we just were talking about this, my early videos on YouTube, and I'm going back probably 2015 or before, were a lot of just straight up install videos of things that I'm like, you know what, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to figure it out. And then I'm sure if I got a question, other people might have a question on the same thing. So I did like a how-to tabletop install of a lot of stuff. But of course, with YouTube, they nixed all that. So, we had to kind of change up the content.
Here it is. This is a video.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and this can't be, it's only 2 years old. This can't be the first video I saw, but I remember this was one of my favorite videos, your Henry Model X video. I went through a phase where I wanted a threaded 357 Magnum lever action so bad. I didn't really want to go through the whole gunsmithing thing, and then bam, Henry not only comes out with their big boys that have breech loaders on the side, but then they started coming out with threaded barrels, and you have a really good video on them. And one of my favorite videos that you ever did has nothing to do with an MP5. Just a really great video. It's almost got 200,000 views. Probably the best video on the Big Boy X model.
Well, it's funny, like, a lot of my, like, I would say 99% of the videos I post are all, it's like off the cuff. Like, I don't do like a lot of prep beforehand. Some of it's first shots, and it's kind of like you're seeing it as I'm seeing it happen. You know what I mean? So with that particular video you're talking about, that was the first time I had shot 38 specials at that. I think that was the first time I shot that gun at all, just at the range. I'm like, well, I'm doing it all, filming it. Put 38 specials in, and then with the can, my reaction was like, did it even fire? I thought it was having misfires. It was so quiet. Yes, that was a fun video.
So, man, I'm trying to remember, if I think really hard, Where I first got hip to your content, man, I want to say it was on YouTube, but I think through YouTube I found out you have an awesome Instagram channel.
I appreciate that.
And it's in the namesake. So Steve MP5, where did you get that name? Have you always been into MP5s? Like that's even your email address that you gave me earlier.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so the thing is, I think when I first got into Instagram, and what's funny is I got on Instagram probably around the time it came out. So maybe 2011, 2012, maybe 2012-ish. And I didn't start with gun content. It just kind of slowly evolved into that. But I needed a name, and I knew, I was always into guns and wanted to be something around that. And, really not many people know, but I mean, Steve MP5, yeah, it is my favorite gun, but the MP are also just part of my initials of my name. So it just kind of flowed easily. So, Steve, my middle name, my last name, and then 5, and it just fits. So that's just how the name came.
Man, I remember bouncing MP5 questions off you because MP5s I've never really been that super knowledgeable about them until maybe the last year when we actually got a few. Mm-hmm. And there's not many people that I go to like instantly. Like there's certain content creators I go to if I need to know something. Mishiko is like if there's something I need to know about an AK on the spot, or like an FAL. I was filming FAL content today that I didn't know much about, and I watched like 3 Mishiko videos. But when it comes to MP5s, just running them, making them look cool, like certain attachments, you've bolted things on your roller guns I've never even seen before. And you're like my go-to guy for MP5 content. And I know we have a lot of people here in the comments that watch my stuff that are always asking, when are you going to do roller gun stuff? Number one, I'm still learning. Number two, I don't have that many of them. So you should really go right here if you want to see that stuff right now.
Well, what's funny you say that is, well, one, talking about stuff you bolted on, or I bolted on, that old retro, 1980 Operation Nimrod MP5 with the big mag light on the top, how they all just hose clamped them on, and just very bush build type of stuff. That was a really fun build for the MP5, very retro. I ran that at a class. So I was at James Williamson's MP5 class here this past year. And I took a couple with me, and I took that one just because I was like, I just want to see what it's like. How usable was this thing in the nighttime, because they do a lot of night stuff. And it was surprisingly, even though it's not very bright, not a lot of flood, and you can adjust the bezel on that thing, it was surprisingly easy, man. You just put that light, you dial it into like a nice focal point in that light. And you don't have to use anything for sights. Just put that light on the target, and you're just in there. So I mean, it's very usable even today. Not bright, but usable, sure.
So there are actually like MP5 specific classes that you can take.
Oh yeah, so James Williamson, and I always butcher his name because it's German. His company, it's Too Funland Tactical. He's my guy that I go to with any just HK question in general. He's a master armorer, gunsmith, trainer. He's contracted by HK a lot of times. He was at the HK booth at SHOT Show. I did a little video with him going over the new VP9 SK, P30 stuff. So when I have a question, I mean, he's the guy. So yeah, I've taken an MP5 armorer course with him. I've taken his MP5 operator course. It's great stuff. I mean, I think I posted a little bit of content on that on my channel, in the reels, and then also on YouTube some highlights of that too. So yeah, it's great. If you got an MP5, even if it's not full auto, you just got a semi-auto MP5 variant clone, whatever, HK SP5, take it to one of those classes and just run it, because it is so valuable. You learn so much about the platform that maybe you may have not known beforehand. So I recommend those.
So David R says, I feel like I'm too poor to listen in on anything MP5 related. Maybe it's the result of a toxic relationship with HK. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, what's funny is, the first clone I got into, I think back in like 2015, 2016, was the old Zenith import MKEs. So when Zenith was important, that was the first intro into actually having the real 9mm version at the time. And I got that because, at the time, HK wasn't bringing in their SP5. So that wasn't even a thing. yet. So the only options were PTR, MKEs. I think POFs were still on the market then, but you couldn't really find them. They had like, shoddy reliability and things, quality stuff. So I got the Zenith MKE, and I mean, that thing still runs to this day. I still have it. It still shoots. I've never had a problem with it. But yeah, I mean, as an intro, I mean, a lot of guys who don't want to spend, well, now on HKSP5, $3,000, you can get into like an MKE Century import or PTR or even the new Zenith line, for sub $2,000. So, a lot of people say, well, don't bother. But if that's what you got to work with, get it, because something's better than nothing, right? I mean, I wouldn't tell you, get a piece of crap, but I mean, it'll do what it's supposed to do, and get your foot in the door at least to the roller lock game.
I know people are asking right now in the comments. So with the whole MP5 thing, I think from the outside looking in, it does look like it's totally unobtainable for, like, say, a new guy's getting into guns, doesn't have a whole lot of scratch. MP5s are not cheap. At least they haven't been until recently. If you were a brand new guy to guns, right? Let's say you've got $2,000 to not only buy the gun, get some mags, maybe some attachments. Like, if you had to start completely over today, and this might be a loaded question because I get this question all the time. I got $1,000 to spend on an AK, go. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even know where to start. So with MP5s, I guess, simple question, if you're starting today, what's the most bang for your buck you would say right now to leave a little scratch on the table, to load up on mags, load up on ammo, maybe some optics?
Oh, man. I mean, if you want a lot of money left over, I mean, if you can find one of the Century import MKEs, I would just do it. I mean, because Century, it's not a Century gun, they're not making it. MKE's making it. Now, I've heard, I've had hands on one of the newer Century imports, and I could tell you just by the feel, the fit and finish did look a little different than the one I have from MKE, the Zenith imports. But I mean, if you can find one for like $1,200, sub $1,500, at least it's something that's it'll run for you, and then you'll have a bunch of money left over to get mags, ammo. You want to SBR if you can do that. Take a training class maybe. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff you could do. I mean, any of the true HK guys that might be watching this, or anybody like, no, just don't do it. But I'm just saying, if you've got limited funds, get what you can, because at the end of the day, man, it doesn't really matter how much money you have. You don't have to have the best gear of everybody. It's just, if you want something, get it, you like it, practice with it, train with it. Then maybe one day, you can go with something more that's top of the line. But, just get what you like and get your foot in the door is what I would say.
Yeah, it's a great answer. We have the Century SP5 and the SP5K. We've got trigger packs in both of them, so we use them for, like, post sample bullet hoses. I gotta say though, dude, I've shot the SP5, that's the full length, quite a bit, and it's cool. We also have one of the PTR MP5s post sampled, and it's cool. But I gotta say, out of all of them that we have, and we don't have like any of the really high end stuff, the SP5K, which is the Turkish, K config.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Dude, I shoot the balls off that gun, full auto. Just today, I'm ripping on that thing, and it is one of the cheapest 9mm post samples that we have. So I mean, like, just from my hands-on experience, I wouldn't turn my nose up at those Century imports at all, especially for what they're charging right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. So like when COVID hit, the Century imports that were coming in, man, they were jacking the prices up of those things. I remember they were like $2,500 or something. I'm like, there is no way. And I was telling people, do not pay $2,500 for a Century or for an MKE Century. Just find another $500 and just get the SP5, because you're already there. It's a no-brainer at that point. Because by taking those classes I was talking about, especially like the armor class with James or somebody, the stuff that you learn about what HK actually offers you in their gun, you're getting that value out of the gun, whereas you don't get these things from some of the other brands. And I'll just give you for an example. So for example, all of the new SP5s that you're going to get, any SP5 that you get comes with an F-type bolt carrier group. So, and what that means is it's the upgrade of the newest iteration of the bolt carrier group, which was the F is for French, but it means like it's made to support high pressure rounds like plus P plus stuff. So with these other ones, you don't get that. And so not saying anybody here is going to run plus P plus stuff, but it's kind of cool to know that your SP5, like, from the factories, and just in that part I'm telling you about right now, is already built up and beefed up for anything you can throw at it. And so, yeah, you're paying for the name, but you're also getting a lot of upgraded parts out of the SP5. So I think it is worth the price of admission, we'll say.
Well, better you to explain that than me. That's things I don't even know. I feel like what you just said is, the meme that people use from It's Always Sunny, and it's like Charlie Day, and he's got everything. It's like me explaining why to buy this AK over something else, or me explaining all the AK clones. So something like that, I feel like falls on a lot of deaf ears, and I feel the same way when I get questions about why is this AK worth $2,000? Why is that one worth $1,000? I said, well, you see, this one's got this, and people are just like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
but that I totally get.
There's an easy way. If anybody, you can check this yourself. And if by some chance you do have an F group, which I doubt, it's an easy way to tell. So if you have an MP5 clone, PTR, or whoever else, if you to remove your brace, butt cap, stock, whatever, and pull out your whole bolt, the recoil spring, all that stuff, pull it out. If your recoil spring pulls freely and easily from the carrier, then it's an F-type bolt. If it is attached and you can pull it out and the bolt dangles from the spring, it's the older non-F-type version. So that's just an easy way to tell that it's F versus not. There's a lot of detail too on like the face of the bolt. There's some different cuts and different geometry in there to allow for the higher pressures of the plus P pluses. But the main thing you'll see is if that spring comes free or not.
Well, that makes it really freaking simple. By the way, Steve, can you see the comments right now?
Oh yeah, I'm looking. I can see them popping through. Let me see.
Okay, I'm just making sure you can read that. Sometimes we'll have people on and they don't see the button that allows them to see it. Let me knock out this guy's question. He was nice enough to tip Steve $2. He said, "What's your thoughts on the RPK 74?" Not exactly what we're talking about tonight.
Well, that's a question for me. I don't know if I can even answer that.
What do you think about the RPK 74, Steve? Steve MP5.
I want one. There's a lot of AKs that I don't have. So funny. I own one AK, and it was the first rifle I ever bought, and it's actually out getting work done now because I'm kind of changing it up a little bit. So
can I guess? I think I remember what it is.
What is it?
Is it it's a Zastava, right?
Yeah, it is a Zastava.
Yeah, nice. Love those.
Yeah. It's one of the old M70s. B, I believe. So it has the gas tube cut off, or the gas block cut off, so you can use the dummy rocket launcher if you wanted to.
Well, there you go, big Kalash guy. Steve wants one, and they are a major flex. So we're all saying, oh, MP5s, I can't even talk about them. They're so expensive. Okay, you want to talk about RPK 74s instead? Probably worth double, triple the money. All right. Let's see. Sean, hey, you guys don't have to tip, by the way. It's greatly appreciated, but not recommended. You don't have to do that stuff, man. Sean says, I'm not rich, but I got an MP5, MP5K, an MP5 SD. Oh, he's not rich. Had to watch some Babyface P videos and buy some tools, but it's worth it to learn how to build MP5s. Bro, you got the MP5 SD? That's a huge flex. What? Who did you get that from? I only know like 2 places to buy an SD right now. Steve, you might know.
Well, there's certainly people out there that build them. You can send a kit, you can send a gun and have the conversion done for sure. Off the shelf though, there's a couple people that are doing them. Dakota does them. Was that TPM out or TPM? I think they do them off the shelf too. But there's a lot of guys, a lot of small guys that do great work who are just, builders who build them. You can send your stuff to, and they'll build you whatever you want.
I have a question. Let's try to tell the future. So, I noticed when I was at SHOT Show, I'm at the Century booth. We were talking to them about lethal weapons, and I noticed they had a huge banner. So we know they've been bringing in the Turkish MP5 clones, right? The MKE stuff. I don't know if you saw their banner, but their banner said the exclusive dealer of MKE products, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions. Number 1, Zenith still has a booth at SHOT Show, and they're still showing all these products. I don't know how that works with Century saying they're exclusive.
Well, Zenith, so Zenith is making theirs now. Like they're all made
okay, I didn't know
USA
that.
in-house made. Yeah, so all of their stuff from Zenith right now is not MKE. It is theirs, built in Virginia in their manufacturing facility. So it's all American-made stuff. It's like I have one. It's not MKE. It's stamped Zenith. Yeah, so it is not MKE. All their stuff now. If you have something now that they've just released, it's all in-house built stuff.
But it used to be all MKE, correct?
Oh yeah, when they imported, then there was I did a video on this forever ago. There was a whole lawsuit, a lot of stuff going on between Zenith and MKE and a whole bunch of stuff, which is why there was a big gap. I think there was like a bunch of years gap where they just dried up and they weren't coming in.
Yeah, that's true.
There was
I remember that.
Whole legal battle, something going on. So then Century, basically took over the importing now again of the MKE stuff.
Okay, second question. We all know MKE doesn't just make 9mm variants. So if Century's the exclusive importer, I think would you agree we should expect, possibly, if we pray really hard, maybe we'll get some other calibers?
So I know, from what I'm told, and this is what I was told at last year's SHOT Show. I was talking with, I was like their head guy in marketing, Adam. Adam, yeah. He was like, yeah, we're bringing in the 33, the 5.56 guns and this and stuff from MKE. I'm like, oh, that's great. When is that happening? And they're like, oh, well, we can't say. We don't want to promise something and it gets pushed back. And it's like, hopefully by SHOT Show next year, right? I'm like, oh, great. And then of course they're not here yet. I asked them again. I didn't talk to Adam this time. I talked to somebody else. They're like, oh, it's close. It's soon. I got some other information from some of my sources who were kind of close. Well, within the HK world, saying like, yeah, they're coming. They've seen samples, this and that. And the thing is if anybody here has watched my video on the Zenith booth just at this SHOT Show, Zenith has prototypes. They have prototypes on their booth of the 53, the 33s, and their G3 clones, like their take, on those 5.56 and 308 guns. So we talked about that, and they said, oh, well, that's sort of 2024 stuff, right? And they were pushing some their new ARs that they're building. And I said in the video, I said, listen, nobody right now, is making any or bringing in any 5.56 roller lock guns or 308 roller lock guns. So no 33s, 53s, all that stuff is not in the country. That should be, your priority, like to get those to the country, because they will be a big sell for you, a big cash grab, because you're the only gaming down. Why would that not be what you're working on right now? And I was like, I get it though. You're trying to show you're diversifying your line, you're making some ARs, but at the same time, it's just another AR. Everybody makes ARs, right? ARs are like a dime a dozen. Nobody's doing the 53, 33, G3 stuff. Focus on that. So, we'll see. I doubt it, but the other thing I've heard is the same thing from PTR, because I was at the PTR booth talking about their new.
That's in my notes. I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, so I was there talking to him too, and basically their answer was, nobody's making mags for the 33s. You got to find surplus mags. Mags are expensive. HK brings them in. They make them new, but they're small batches. And the same thing with Zenith is basically like, we got to find a mag supplier. I'm like, well, get KCI to do it. That's what everybody, everybody's getting KCI to make their stuff. And they're, yeah, but it's just like, I don't know if it's a availability thing or materials thing, or if it's an expense thing, but it's just, from what I understand, it's the mags that are holding up the production of these guns, from what I understand. Could be mistaken, but that's the way I understood it when it was explained to me.
And I'm sure you saw PTR's AR-15 Magwell variant at SHOT.
Yeah, that's the the 63, PTR 63. Because I did a video on that. I talked to him about that too. We talked about that whole thing.
I thought that was kind of cool. However, me as if I want like the full like HK33 clone like experience, man, it's hard to not want the original mags. This is it's kind of the same way I look at like SIG variants. All the SIG SWATs that took all the AR-15 mags that we got for years and years and years, and then SIG finally gave us the 5.51A1 that took original SIG Rock and Lock mags, like the real ones, like the 550s. I don't think I would own something that cool, that different, just to jam an AR-15 mag well in it, or an AR-15 mag in it. That's just me personally. Like, that gun is so different. I want the full experience. If it's Rock and Lock mags, that's what I want. If it takes the weird aluminum mags like a 33 does, that's what I want. That's just me, though. It's cool that they did that. I don't see it selling very well, and maybe I'm totally missing the mark here. You might be super interested in it, but I think it's cool that they're making a 5.56 roller gun. But man, factory mags for me that's where it's at.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some of these questions.
Let me knock out David's question really quick. David. Money means nothing to some of these commenters, and they throw it around
right
like it means nothing to them. David says, Clay, just picked up my Zastava M90 on Thursday. Thank you for your videos, which helped me make my decision to grab one. Dude, I love my M90. As far as 5.56 AKs go, it's one of the cheaper options, and you get a hell of a lot of gun for your money. Tunable gas, long barrel, better velocity, factory Rock and Lock mags, unlike the older M90 MPs that took AR-15 mags. They're awesome. They're built like tanks, too. No recoil, like this much recoil. Thank you, David.
Somebody commented about the whole Rumble thing. You want to touch on the Rumble thing? I'll give you my thoughts. I think they're similar to yours, but...
I'll go first, and then I'm sure we agree. I think I'm sending my thought into your brain. I think we're on the same wavelength. I don't care if it's Rumble, Utreon, Patreon, whatever, any other video host server. I've said this time and time again, like it's nice having a place for your videos to be viewed that they're never going to get deleted or censored or whatever. That's nice. But if you're going to bust your ass, if you really put a lot of effort into your videos, making gun videos, they're some of the most expensive videos to make, and they make the least amount of money. They get the least amount of views. They're the most censored. So if it really is like a passion project, which it is for me, I know it is for Steve, you dump a lot of time and effort into these videos. Ammo is so expensive. The guns are expensive. The mags are expensive. So now you have this final video that you worked so hard on. It is cool knowing that it's somewhere where it's going to survive, but Rumble, you'll get maybe less than 1% of the interactions that you would get on YouTube, because YouTube isn't just about guns. And the reason why videos prosper on YouTube is because you're not just on YouTube for guns. You're on YouTube for all the stuff that you like. So you come here because everything you like is in one place. So you might as well tap into your gun fetish while you're here. So it's cool. I don't think it's the ultimate answer. Rumble is kind of an echo chamber for it's like all just right-wing stuff. If that's all you like, you'll find it on Rumble. But that's like all there is there. It's all really right-wing political stuff, but they're cool with guns, so we can put it there. It's kind of how I feel about it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, also, I've been watching a lot of people recently because all this is going on, and they just say basically, they've been posting on Rumble for years. I don't know, like a couple years or at least a year, posting videos there, but they still post their videos to YouTube because everybody's just on YouTube. Like, they just come to YouTube. So, well, on the other thing, I think you mentioned it too, was YouTube and Google owned YouTube. I mean, they're the biggest search engines, right? So let's just say, just like Instagram was bought by Facebook. I mean, let's just say Rumble gets huge, and every single gun person goes to Rumble, and it starts making waves, and it's doing something. Well, Google just throws some money at the owners of Rumble, and of course they'll sell, because they'd be stupid if they wouldn't. So then Rumble is then lumped into the same thing, and you're going to have to abide by the rules that they'll just transfer over to Rumble. So I said it in my channel update video. It's like, look, if I'm going to be making these videos, I'm going to be on YouTube. I just got to play by the rules. I got to do what I can do. I mean, this isn't my job. So, I feel for the guys who, been in the game for a long time, and this is what
And
they do for
they've
work.
quit their day jobs for this back when
Yeah, like
YouTube
this
was
is
really
their
kicking.
job. Yeah, yeah. So, like, I get it, but it's like this is a hobby for me. It's a passion. I get very, very little return out of the time and effort and money I put into it. So it's just like, this is where it's seen. So I got to do what I got to do and adjust accordingly. It's the only thing I can do.
And are you duplicating your videos anywhere just in case?
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of my early videos, a lot of the ones I just had to neuter, because of the install stuff. All that stuff is saved onto a hard drive somewhere, and then a lot of the newer ones, I don't have to worry about that too much because there's not really much of that content that they were gonna kick me off for. There's a lot of the old stuff that was still there. But yeah, I mean, all my videos are pretty much saved just in case I want to, look back, or I can post them again or something.
Contractor 556 says, granted, I get the money engagement and like I think a lot of people understand that moving to these other platforms, if making money on YouTube's your gig with gun content, you're not going to make a dime over there. And there's a point to this. And he says the engagement, I get it, but YouTube is just not where it's at long time. I would agree with you. I don't think gun content on YouTube is a forever thing. I mean, the whole making money, this is weird. This is like a taboo thing to talk about. Making money on gun videos. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to be a non-sellout. You're supposed to be making this gun content for free. You're supposed to be one of us. Like, there's a lot, like it. Some of these guys, some of these huge channels, like IV8088, guys like that will like charge gun companies for money to make a review, and people are saying, number one, oh, it's not transparent, or it's such a shame. It's such a bad word for a gun company to say, oh man, this gets demonetized, that gets me demonetized. What am I going to do? But at the same time, what leaves a super bad taste in my mouth is knowing that those guys are probably putting way more money into making those videos as, say, a guy that does car content. Both guys that are making this content, whether, say, Cletus McFarland, love his channel, dumps a ton of money into his footage, makes money hand over fist on ad revenue. Guys like, let's say, Demo Ranch or someone like that, even though he's very well known, he still makes gun content, probably gets demonetized all the time. Well, in those early days, it's probably nothing when he was just starting out to dump $1,000, maybe $2,000 into a video, just with explosions and ammo and all this crazy stuff, just for maybe the hope that, hey, maybe I can make money on YouTube like everyone else that's filming legal stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then when he doesn't, or even talks about it, people are like, oh man, that dude's just in it for the money. Like, he should be making gun content just for the sake of making it. I get it, and that's where my heart's at, but I don't hold it against anyone that actually makes decent money making gun content at all. I don't hold it against them at all. That's the American dream, dude.
Yeah, you know what's funny too? I mean, even on Instagram, right? Like, if you get a big following, I'm sure. I mean, I get a lot of DMs. I'm sure you do too. These random companies, oh, do this. We want to send you something, whatever it is. But man, I talked to somebody. I'm not going to say their name. I'm not going to blow up their spot or nothing. But people that have a lot of it, like, so there was when my Instagram kind of blew up a couple months ago, I was getting about 5 million views a month, which was a lot, right, for me. And people with probably the same sort of views that I was getting, or depending on the month, depending on the content that I get, they're telling me like, man, if somebody wants to run an ad on one of my reels, I charge $1,500 a pop for an ad on a reel. And he said they pay it. And he said, think about it. They're making way more on their, on however many people see this video that might buy into or buy whatever it is that they're doing, than they're paying you. He said, so charge whatever you can get. And I'm like, man, $1,500, like a spot. I'm like, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's a nice piece of money for basically, running a quick little ad on Instagram for some company for something, right? So yeah, I mean, there's definitely money to be made, and And look, if I could do it, if companies were knocking down my door and saying, look, we'll pay you X amount of money to run a 20-second ad in the middle of your reel about some new game app on the iPhone, right? Well, yeah, I mean, why not? It's money that I don't get elsewhere for the gun content I'm creating. So if they're going to give me, let's say, $500, they're going to give me $500 to run an ad on Instagram for something they're trying to push, for me to further the gun content and put it towards another gun build or something to make more content. I mean, it's a hustle. It's the side hustle. I mean, I have a full-time job, so any money that I can muster from, YouTube or the side hustle of the gun stuff just goes right back into the gun stuff. So there's really no money to be made for me anyway.
Right.
I don't do it full time.
I mean, honestly, you're trying to break even is what it really is.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're trying to do what you enjoy for free. I want to talk about a buddy of mine that catches a lot of crap on this very topic. Started out making a lot of like really hardcore gun focused videos and then got into doing other things because it was safer, more profitable, and it grew his audience faster. And a lot of people kind of hold it against him. I'm talking about Brandon Herrera. When he started out years ago, it was like straight up gun content, building. He got his FFL and his SOT, and he was building AKs and selling them, doing all that. The whole AK-50 thing. Just being around a bunch of like people in the AK world, I hear a lot of people talk a lot of crap about the guy. Like, I guess his content's gotten very like PG-13, or it's gotten so far away from the AK content. I hear this all the freaking time. I read my comments. People always say pretty hurtful stuff about the guy. And I will tell you, Brandon is a really good example of a guy that built an audience early on that was fairly popular, and he made a video. I think it was the AR-15 versus AK guy. Like he was doing those videos like AR guy versus AK guy. Like, what are the differences? And they blew up, and his channel really started to rock and roll. So he hires a photographer to make better content. Delance pays this guy to edit all the videos. The content gets better. He's like, oh shit, we need better camera equipment, buys better camera equipment. Oh man, we need a shop to get an FFL out of, invest in the shop. Hires guys to start doing gunsmithing, hires young kids right out of college because they're really talented, and pays them to basically do their dream job and build AKs all day. All of that takes a ton of money. He found a stride of video that like his gun meme videos, all that, whether you love them or hate them, I'm sure they generate a ton of revenue, and they're safe, and they probably don't get demonetized as hard as straight up gun content. And then you'll compare like his meme video versus him just shooting a gun, and the views are like completely upside down. The gun meme content or whatever just blows everything else out of the water. What I'm getting at is, this guy is, to me, totally living the American dream. He has figured out a way to not only pay his living, but several guys pay their livings making gun content or gun related content, which is not a bad word. I think the dude's a freaking trailblazer, man. Like, to think that he got to a place where his channel didn't get deleted and demonetized so much, where he's literally paying guys to build guns with freaking YouTube videos. The fact that anyone would call this dude anything other than like a straight up hustler and living that American dream, I don't get it. The Brass Valley guys, that's exactly right. That's a big deal. And it's going to come out very soon that Brandon is the reason a lot of these YouTube strikes are going away. He had a huge hand in slapping YouTube on the PP and using his contacts to try to fix a lot of that. So, when it comes to making money doing a lot of this stuff, dude, if you're good at something, and why should you do it for free all the time?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Steve, if I came to you and said, Steve, listen, I'm making this thing for an MP5 and I don't have an audience. This thing is good. I've spent a lot of money in the 3D printing. I've spent a ton of money. You're the guy. If I paid you $1,000, would you run it? I don't care if it's good or bad. Would you run it in some videos? Tell me what you honestly think about it. If it's awesome, I would love to pay you to do a campaign helping me promote this thing, because nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows about this product. For you to go out and shoot some guns at a range and get paid $1,000 to tell this guy if his product is good or not, Why wouldn't you do that? I mean,
Well, exactly. I
you've
mean,
built up
you're
to this opportunity.
yeah, and essentially, you can look at what we do, me and you, and anybody on Instagram that has any little bit of following for anything. I mean, you're essentially a marketing professional, right? Like you are in the marketing business, and you are, well, in the case of taking a product or money exchange for money or product to essentially promote something you think is good, or say that it's bad, even if it's bad and you think that it is, I mean, you're promoting something, you're marketing something, you're giving some small company that's trying to do what you just said, you're giving them a way to maybe facilitate them being successful at what they're doing and what they're making. So, I look at a lot of times, a lot of companies I've always worked with, throughout time has been smaller companies that reach out and like they want to try something, or they got this product. I've worked with some big companies too, of course, but, I always try to help out any, like, I'll say mom and pop, but like a small company that's, got very little exposure on Instagram or something, and kind of try to help throw some business their way. If they have a good product, I think it's good, then yeah, I'll help them out. Like, hey, and a lot of times, and maybe I'm saying too much here, but a lot of times, I mean, because I feel like I'm not that big on Instagram, people are way bigger and do it for a living, I'm sure. A lot of times I'll trade. I'm like, look, yeah, if send me what you want me to take a look at. I'll look at it, I'll run it, and then if I like it, I'll say like, hey, like, this is a decent product. And there's seldom money that changes hands. It's always just like a goods for service. Like, you send it to me, I'll check it out. If I like it, or even if I don't like it, I'll post it, and then that's it. Like, so for me, it's weird. Like, I don't even feel like I'm at a point where I could like have the balls, we'll say, to charge somebody money to do like a review or something. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong in thinking that, but a lot of the stuff I do is just a trade. Like, it's just, give me this thing, if you want, and then I'll do a review on it if I think it's good. So that's kind of how I've operated anyway.
Yeah, to pull the curtain back, that's how a lot of those gigs work. For people that were curious, like a lot of these companies, it's easier for them to reach out to someone that they know is into their product and just say, hey, is this something that you're interested in? And you might say, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about buying one of those. Well, listen, why don't we send one to you? Love it or hate it, whatever. Tell us if you like it, keep it, make some videos on it, and that would really help us out. Keep the product. That's typically how that deal works. Typically the whole paid thing, and the only time like I've ever, and this is funny, because in all my videos I'm like, I'm not gonna sell you a razor for your ball sack, but I remember the one, it was the easiest money I ever made. I think it was, I've never been reached out to by like Leviathan, but I know a lot of people are. I was reached out to by, and I know the guys that run the business. It's God, it's escaping me now. It's Will and Ben. They do the guys that do the Gundies.
Okay.
Forge Relations. They're like a smaller version of Leviathan. So they have like all these representatives. They reach out to influencers. Hate that word. They reach out to influencers and they're like, hey, I got all these companies that want to send out paychecks. If you follow these instructions and their ad pops up at this timestamp in the video, here's your script. Here's what we want to see on camera. Bada bing. Here's your check. That's what Leviathan does. Forge Relations. That's what all these big companies do. They basically will email you all the people looking to pay someone to talk about their product. This is why you'll see like Keeps or Raid Shadow Legends or whatever. That's how all that shit works.
Yeah, right.
So I remember, dude, I would get the dumbest offers. It would be stuff that had nothing to do with anything I was into, and I would always deny. And then I remember I was just wearing them today. They said, hey, the Solomon Shoe Company? I'm like, yeah, I got like 4 pairs of those. Well, they're running an ad campaign. I was like, you're telling me I get a pair of Solomons and a paycheck? I'm like, well, I'm not lying when I say Solomons are good. I wear that shit every day. So I remember it was like, dude, it was $500. They send you a brand new pair of Solomon Strike Force with the cleats. I shoot every single match with that pair of shoes. Like, I literally used them. And I'm like, oh my God, like I literally got paid $500 to tell everyone that I love this shoe that I would have bought anyway. Like, it was the easiest money I ever made. Nothing has ever really popped up since then that I was like, meh, that just kind of seems like I'm selling out just a little bit. But that's how all that stuff works, man, to pull the curtain back. Now, I'm going to have to throw you under the bus here a little bit, Steve. I don't know if throw you under the bus is a good term, but I want to change the topic a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
And we have a lot of great comments. Guys, I'm going to get to that. But I want to play a video that you filmed at SHOT Show. And I want you to tell me what you think about it. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
I'm at the KUSA booth at SHOT Show. The powers that be have been giving me the runaround for 2 days now. I'm gonna get a meeting, come back, I'll let you know, come back, too busy, all the stuff. So they were supposed to be willing to get on camera and talk about all the stuff that's going on. Hasn't happened, it's not gonna happen. This is the last day, I'm out of here soon, so it ain't gonna happen. Disappointed because it sounded like a good conversation, that they were willing and wanted to get on camera, but clearly they don't. So hopefully everything goes as planned. Hopefully everybody gets their stuff fixed. I really wanted to get a video talking to one of the upper guys, Evan, who I was trying to talk to. Just didn't work out. So it is what it is. Tried. All right, guys. See you. All right, guys. Look.
Sorry, I was muted. You know what's so funny about this? Freaking H&K commented on your post and said they lost Boo with a kissy face. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Freaking gnarly, man. Okay, so I gotta know, dude, what happened with that?
So, leading up to SHOT Show, I had reached out and been talking to the guy who runs the Unbanned by Kalashnikov USA Instagram page. And he'd be tagging me in some stuff. I talked to him in DMs about some things. I sent him a video of my KP9. And if anybody's here that hasn't followed my Instagram or isn't familiar, I have a tricked out KP9 I got a couple of years ago. Before the whole Russian war happened, I got a bunch of stuff, Zenico stuff from Russia, to build this whole, Vityaz, KP9 clone thing with all Russian parts. And then found out, my KP9 was one of, I guess they say, one of the affected ones that would fire out a battery. So him and I were just talking. Long story short, fast forward to SHOT Show. I was like, I'm just going to go to the booth and see if I can talk to somebody about it, right? And see if somebody will talk to me. So I know the guy, Evan. I've seen him there at SHOT Show before. I don't remember what his title was or anything, but I saw him. He was there, and I walked over to him and I said, hey, man, I want to see if I can get like an interview with you. We can talk about some products and things, but I really wanted to see if I could get somebody on record or in a video, saying something about all these quality issues that everybody's been reporting on. And he kind of stopped and, he just said, well, I don't feel like we need to talk about that. We're handling it. It's only been a few units. You get these guys on these pages and it's like the same guys posting to make it look like it's a huge problem, but it's not really a huge problem. We put the email out there for people to send in their serial number and things if they had issue with their KP9 and we get it fixed. We've only had, 20 some people. I'm like, well, okay, but this is me just talking. I said, well, okay, but how do you know that there isn't thousands of other people that are affected? I mean, if it's just a handful of people that might be seeing this content on this guy's page who is very small, like, 1,000 people or 2,000 people that are following him, how do you know this isn't just a widespread issue across the whole line? And you shouldn't send out a notice to, everybody that something may be an issue. You may want to double check it, and have us fix it. Kind of skirted it a little bit. Basically said, you know what, it is an important conversation. I do want to, we should talk about it a little bit. Started showing me some of the new products. He was like, listen, I don't have time right now, but, let's set up an appointment, come back, we'll do a video. So I said, okay, cool. He's like, come back in an hour. Came back in an hour. Oh, Steve, can't do it. I'm tied up. I got all this stuff going on. Just text me. Gave me his phone number. Look, we'll figure something out. We'll get something scheduled. you know, nothing ever came of it. I kept going back, next day going back, can't do it. He'd see me and act like he didn't see me, ignore me, you know what I mean? I'm like, look, dude, at the end of the day, I posted that video and I didn't say all the stuff I could have said, but I just was like, man, if you are under some embargo with your company that says you can't talk about anything right now, just tell me that. Tell me that off camera. I'll respect that. And I respect the industry. If you say, look, we're dealing with this, we can't talk about it on camera, can't go into any of it, then I'm like, cool, thank you. I'll leave you alone. I don't want to bother you. I got other shit I got to do. So, no, but he just kept skirting it and not giving me an answer and all this stuff. So I just got pissed off and, you know, whatever. But yeah, so that's really what happened in a nutshell with that whole thing. I'm like, dude, just tell me that you can't talk about it or you won't talk about it. And don't just lead me on, tell me to come back and then blow me off, come back, blow me off. So that was really it. That's what happened.
Well, I didn't know all that backstory, but that sounds par for the course with those guys, just in my experience. But so, you know, that happened, and then it seemed like the weeks following SHOT Show, there has been what seems to be this major change in leadership at KUSA, maybe. So the only updates I know, like officially, are a new guy has taken over as VP of Marketing. So any of you that were at Clash Bash, you met the old VP of Marketing. That was David. He kind of left right after they pulled the plug on Clash Bash last year for us. David had it with them and dipped. So they have a new guy. His name's Cody. Don't know his last name. I think, man, some of the stuff I don't really want to say on camera about they've let some other. I'll put it this way. They have some sponsored shooters that are no longer there working for them. They are out of the picture. I don't know what else has changed. I know Bugsy still works there. Still have a lot of respect for Bugsy. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I think I said on the last stream, we actually bumped into Bill Gentry at SHOT Show, who was the former VP of Marketing, you know, like 2 or 3 Clash Bashes ago. And he's the whole reason we even got tied up with KUSA in the first place was through Bill Gentry, who is now at Bushmaster. And, you know, he wished everyone the best, said the whole situation's unfortunate. But as of right now, new VP of Marketing, they've moved some sponsored shooters along that are no longer with them. I know they're sending out firing pin replacements, or they're replacing firing pins if you send their KP9, and I think they've said that's the problem.
You're supposed to send in your bolt, your whole bolt, and they replace your firing pin, I believe. I have to do that for mine, so I'm supposed to do that.
The only update I have, man, I probably shouldn't even say that. I will say that they have expressed concern to the Banned by Kalashnikov page that the new guy in charge, I guess, wants to try to make things right with the guys that put on Kalash Bash. Asked for our phone numbers. I didn't want to give him my number. I didn't want to give him Tony's number. I told Steve off camera, we worked with KUSA for like 3 years. We had contracts signed. Like, they got my info. I'm not that hard to find. They could find my number if they want it. That hasn't happened yet. So, you know, who knows? Maybe we might get a phone call, and maybe they might want to make things right. They have a lot to make right with not only us, but our match directors. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother can of worms, which I can't get into, but that ain't going to get fixed over a phone call. But we'll see. They seem to be like wanting to fix a lot of problems and bridges that they have burned, not only with people they've worked with, but people that are buying their product. So
yeah, I think
we'll see what happens.
I think I can speak for, in talking with people, and I think you might even be able to just, agree is, I don't want KUSA to fail, right? Like, I want them to release a quality product. I want them to stand behind their product. And if something's messed up, own up to it and fix it. I mean, that's really, I think, all of, what the guy who runs Unbanned by Kalashnikov USA wants to. I mean, he just wants people to get a quality product by any company. It's just so happened that the KUSA was kind of taking the forefront there for a while, but he's posted other stuff for other companies. But I mean, I told Evan the same thing when I was talking to Evan at SHOT. I spoke with Cody briefly, and I said the same thing. Like, no, nobody wants to see you guys fail. Like, we want you to succeed. We want a quality product, and that's what it is. So any of this, don't take as trying to, burn KUSA to the ground. Like, we want the company to do well and succeed. You just gotta, own up to what's going on. That's all.
David R says the weird moment when bullying a company actually works. I talked to the guy on the phone that runs Unbanned by Kalashnikov USA, and the guy has like a really good job. He's got kids. He's not like a young guy. Like he's a smart dude. Like the dude he doesn't strike me as the type that just wanted to like make this channel to start all these fires for no reason. Like when I talk to him on the phone, he's like genuinely like wanting them to change something. If it comes down to, hey, like I'm gonna post every single problem that I see, so maybe you at least just say something. That's the deal. Like the dude does not strike me as starting a fire just for the sake of doing it. Like he really does seem like he has good intentions. And I mean, look where we're at now. We've actually, I mean, they've like literally hired a guy that's gonna try to come in there and change their whole image. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I want to answer a question I saw. I scrolled up and I saw somebody asked about suppressing a roller lock gun, advantages, disadvantages. I believe it was somewhere in here. I lost it now, but I think that was the gist of the question. So in my opinion, and now I'm not a guy who owns a million full autos, so I might not be the best person to answer this question, but in my opinion, if you have a full auto MP5, if you suppress it, you want to change your locking piece to a different degree. There's if you look on your locking piece, there's a number on there, and it's in degrees, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but it could just be a number. I can't recall offhand. But what happens when you suppress a roller gun? It's moving the action faster, so you're raising or increasing your cyclic rate. So if you want to run like a PDW, like the MP5K PDW, suppressed full time, you want to change that to a different angle. I can't remember the number because I'm not into that side really. So that information is sort of very not as much for me. But you change that to a locking piece that slows down the cyclic rate a little bit. So if you're running it suppressed, you don't run into issues of overrunning the gun or running it too fast. So I think semi-auto, I don't think there's any problem. I've run mine with a can on, had no issues. It's mostly, again, if I'm not mistaken, it's with the smaller PDW guns and the K guns that have that issue when you need to change your locking piece.
I might need to talk to you about that off camera because I've been putting a can on some of our post samples. I just want to make sure I'm not like hurting it, but because I haven't changed out anything. Mm-hmm. Man, that's interesting. I never even, I don't think about that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, and neither do I. So again, I don't run full autos like that. I mean, full auto. If anybody who doesn't know, if you want to buy a transferable pre-86 MP5 registered sear pack, transferable, those things went from, let's just say it's 2023 now, 2015 thereabouts, maybe let's say almost 10 years ago, you could have one for about 20 grand, which is a lot. I'm not saying it's not a lot, but today that same piece of equipment is 30 plus 35. So certainly as time goes on from 86, anything transferable pre-86 just gets more valuable because there's less, people hold on to them, they don't sell them, when they come up, they're expensive. So if you got like 40 grand to drop on a little piece of metal that fits in your, the auto sear that fits in your MP5 trigger pack, it's going to run you about 40 grand. And then you can worry about all that other stuff. I've shot forward MP5s, I don't own one. So a lot of the MP5 intricacies I don't have down because I don't need that knowledge at this point. But I can point you in the right direction if you have questions. Certainly James Williamson, I would follow him. Any of you guys on here, follow him on Instagram. He posts a lot of funny memes, a lot of HK stuff, but he is a wealth of knowledge for anything HK. Like I said, he's the one that does the MP5 Armor course and all the HK Armor courses, the MP5 Operator course, which I went to, this patch right here. A wealth of knowledge. You can just drop him a line for any question. He's always happy to answer and share the knowledge. So certainly follow him.
If you're looking for financial advice, like where to invest your money, DM Steve MP5 and he'll tell you what post samples to get into at a really good price.
Yeah.
And he's going to be like, yo, these trigger packs so hot right now. Give them 10 years, triple your money.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's that way. It is that way. I mean,
dude, transferables are like guns in general. And transferables are like a really good, like think Mac 10, Mac 11s. They were like the cheapest way to get a transferable
like
for so long.
Maybe $5,000.
Yeah, look at them now.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, transferables are awesome investments. And you get to enjoy, it's like stack your money up in a stock. And it's you can't play with stocks. It's not like it's not like they're Legos and you get to build things out of them. Invest your money in a transferable machine gun. 1 second. Thank you. I'm sure you killed it on the last one. Thank you. Invest your money in a transferable machine gun. You get to play with it the whole time. And then in 5 or 6 years, you're not going to lose money on it.
Oh, yeah, no. It's
not at all.
You won't. I mean, you can even say like, oh, I should have bought into it 10 years ago. Well, yeah, but now 10 years from now, it's even more money. So, I mean, the more you prolong it, the more expensive it's going to be. But, the longer you hold on to it, if you're one of those. But see, I feel like I'm one of them guys, like if I bought it, like I'd never get rid of it. I'd enjoy it and have it. I'd pass it down to like, kids or something, But some guys that got the money, they buy all that stuff, they sit on it and then flip it and like retire off it. They got all this stuff they can just sell. They're old now, they're 70, they don't need it, you know what I mean? And somebody else to enjoy it, but they make a killing, for people who know what they have or, have done the research. But yeah, I think the last time I looked for a transferable machine gun, a guy I actually buddies with who used to be on Instagram and got his account deleted. If you remember 10-8 Guns, Derek with 10-8 Guns.
Man, that sounds familiar.
DJ Tackleberry. He had about probably 80,000 IGs followers before he got kicked off. But yeah, he bought a transferable, I think it was a Mac 11. It was a Mac. He bought it a couple years ago. Obviously took a while to transfer, but it was unfired when he bought it. When he bought it, I want to say he told me he spent about seven-ish grand, maybe a little more, which I think at the time is still, I mean, maybe not now, but it was like the cheapest. It was Uzis and Macs were the cheapest transferables you could get into for a long time. Then they just keep going. But yeah, so less than 10, maybe around 10 grand, you can get a Mac. You know what I mean? Transferable.
What would you say right now? I know because I'm looking at one that's for sale. If you had to guess, what would you say an H&K MP5 9mm full length MP5 transferable?
So like German transferable?
Real German. 4-position trigger pack.
Ooh, Navy trigger pack. 4-position.
Collapsible stock. Not that that freaking matters, like the gun.
No, but yeah. Probably about 50.
Well, anyone want to? Okay, I see some guesses. Down here. I'm going to share it in a second. I see 52, 42,
I think
61.
35 is too little. It's got to be about close to 50. If just the sear pack, they're talking about a Fleming sear pack, is like going for 35.
This is the full gun.
This is a real German gun.
Steve says 50.
I'm saying 50.
They're asking $55,000. You were so close.
Close.
Who guessed 52? My man. Fender Vans.
Yeah.
Very good guess. I like this game. I'm going to try to test your knowledge on another one really quick. Okay, so obviously stupid money. Like $54,000. What is that? That buys you like a new F1. Yeah, it's like a new F-150, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How about something very this one's going to be dumb. Okay. I would say some of the most popular transferables are something that's AR-15, M4, M16 based, right?
Yeah, right. I'd say.
Okay. Bushmaster, M16, 223 registered receiver, small pin. This is a transferable. This is, I guess you would call this like, this is an A1. I don't know if M4A1 is a technical term. 16-inch barrel, carbine gas. This is A1 carry handle, transferable, Car 15 stock.
Did you say it's marked M16? Is it M16? What is it?
Bushmaster M16 carbine. That's what it's marked. Fully transferable. This is A1 carry handle, A-frame, fixed front sight post, 16-inch barrel, carbine gas.
I'm going to go with about 35 to 40, and I'll tell you why I say that, and we'll see what that is when it's...
So you're going to say 35?
Yeah, 35-ish, maybe 40.
All right, what do you guys think in the comments? This is basically like an M4A1 with a carbine length setup. Very classic M4.
Kind of like the Nam era, right? Would that be like that look of like Nam, right?
That
long,
look like think like XM177, but with a 16-inch barrel and no moderator.
Oh, okay.
So carbine length gas clamshell handguards. God, you guys are 71 grand. Definitely is not the answer. 38K, 28, $150,000. Okay. Steve said 35. Okay. They are asking a little over 30 grand. For a Bushmaster, this is not a Colt. You know, this isn't something extremely collectible, but I would have thought this would have been worth a lot more.
So I went with 35 because I know this guy, one of the guys that has what they say, the FU money, right? I'm going to be censored on here, the FU money. Yeah. He bought a transferable Colt M16, and I remember holding it, and I don't know if I'm sure you're a SOT too, right? Like you get a bunch of stuff, right? So it was the first time I ever held one. I didn't shoot it, but I held it, and man, I was surprised at how light that thing was. It was so light, it felt like a toy. And he paid like 35. I think it was like 35. Cut a check, 35. Then waited for the transfer, all that stuff. But it was cool, man. I mean, it was definitely. I was like, man, that thing, it's money. I mean, it's definitely money for sure.
Let me give you one more, and then we have a game that I want to play. I didn't tell you about this at all off camera.
Okay. We
have a game that we started not too long ago. I'm going to hit you with that later, but I want you to guess one more transferable. I'm looking for something really cool that you might know. I'm looking for some HK stuff. I want to test your knowledge. Ooh. You're never going to guess this, but maybe it's in your wheelhouse. Okay. This is an H&K 22E. This is basically their belt-fed light machine gun. Correct.
Yeah, 5.56, right? It's 5.56.
This is 7.62 native.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if people don't know what that is, I should probably show a picture. I'm not going to show a picture. Let's see. So it's the belt-fed HK 21E. Yeah. It looks like a G3 that's been stretched a little bit, and it takes belt, still has the carry handle bipod. Transferable, not exactly a super common gun. Let me know in the comments. I'm seeing really high numbers, 75 to 80, 60, 65.
I feel like I've seen, and this is just something I never looked for, but seen something somewhere on these things, like parts kits or something for these different parts for them. Like the barrel itself was going for some ungodly amount of money. Mm-hmm. I'll go with maybe 70. I'll just take a stab at 70. I'm not really sure.
Okay, you're saying 70.
Yeah, I'll say 70.
All right. Let me get a few more guesses. I'm going to show you guys a picture just in case you don't know what we are talking about. But this is what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. It's basically what we're talking about. Fully transferable, meaning if you've got the cheddar, you can buy this. File the right paperwork. You don't need any special license. This is a transferable gun that a civilian can own legally. What's it worth? I'm seeing some big numbers. 75K, 75K, 70, 150K, 60, 80. You guys are in the ballpark.
I don't think it's over 100. It could be. I just don't think it. Maybe. I just don't think it's that high.
Remind me what your guess was.
I said 70.
70? Okay.
I like the 84, 99, 95.
Yeah.
It's like
three
a
easy
South
payments.
Park. Yeah, 3 easy payments. $9.95.
It can be yours, Steve, for a smooth 60K.
Oh, 60. Yeah.
Don't you just love the add to
thinking-
cart button?
Yeah, I know.
It's got a little add to cart button.
Yeah.
But think about that. At one time, all three of these guns that we have just shown were a fraction of that cost years ago. A fraction of that cost. And someone could have bought it and never shot it. I bet you the guy moving this gun is quadrupling his investment if he's had it for a little while, for sure.
Yeah.
Props to all you guys that guessed 60. A lot of you guys guessed 60. That's a really good guess.
Before I forget, I don't know who you got that edits your the lethal weapons or that whole intro thing you had, but I think it was on point. I think it was nice. That was cool.
That's a secret.
Okay.
So the one that we showed here, that is a company called Encima Media. They're actually out of San Antonio, Texas. Okay. Tony found them. There's a Facebook channel called Full-Time Filmmaker. It's actually a class that you can take on editing through Premiere Pro, which I don't use. I've tried it, dude. I just can't figure it out very well. But a lot of people on that Facebook page will advertise, like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I charge. So we found these guys that were local. They film with Whistling Diesel a lot on YouTube. Okay. And they film a lot of music videos. They don't know anything about guns, but they're okay with it. So there's a lot of companies out there that you can pay that come out and make gun content, and it's the same old gun content you've seen where it's like the same music in the background. It's like, you know, it's imagine the guy that does all the voiceovers for like Springfield. It's like, this year at Springfield, the all new Hellcat, the Hellion. Like, that's what you get. So we basically paid guys that do music videos, and I'm like, don't look at this as a gun video. Make it look like a music video, make it look fun. It just happens to be about guns. And when you have guys make a gun video that aren't into guns, you get a completely different feel to it.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I got to test your knowledge again, man.
Okay.
Those of you that watched our live stream with Mishiko, we came up with a challenge called the Mishiko Challenge. Now, if you don't know what this is, Mishiko is blind. I'm sure we all know that. Mm-hmm. Anyone that has seen his videos or knows anything about him. So what we did was we found 3 clips that had really good sound of pretty well-known firearms, and we played the sound only.
Oh, kind of like SMR or whatever.
He's 3 for 3. He guessed every single gun just based on the click-clack noises, right?
Okay.
Now, we answered a couple of like hinty questions, like very minimal stuff, and he was good. So Mishiko has set the bar 3 for 3. Now you're only the second dude to do this challenge.
I'm going 0 for 3. I know. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, hopefully not. Before we get into that, let me handle my man Super Chat here. You guys need to knock that stuff off. Jefferson Exotic, can you explain to a noob what part kits are exactly? What am I looking at when I see an MP5 torched in half solid kit? Steve can explain that very well.
Yeah, so pretty simple. Just like I guess you would get like maybe similar to an AK parts kit, something that's come in, maybe that was full auto demilled or whatever. You'll buy the whole thing. You'll buy the receiver and everything that's cut in half. Obviously, you can't use that. You use everything else, and then you have to get an American-made flat MP5 flat and have somebody build it, put it together for you. Unless you know how to do that, which I doubt. So you're buying a kit. You're buying that whole thing, it cut in half, and then you need to get basically, just like I said, a new receiver flat, send it off, and have them make you a new receiver. And that'll be the new gun. But a lot of guys do that because then they're getting all authentic German parts. The only thing that's not German would then be the receiver that they have made. But a lot of guys like that because they get authentic German stuff. I did that with my UMP. So I had a UMP 40 parts kit. So it was all German. Everything was German about it. I just had to get a new receiver, obviously, because the original was cut in half. So it's not a full German gun, obviously, because I had to get a new receiver, but it's still basically a German gun.
Boom. I hope that answered your question, Jefferson. Thank you for the tip. It definitely helps, but it is not required. Okay, Steve, you've got earbuds in, so
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna play. Here's what's gonna happen. I wish I had like game show music. I'm just not that technical. I don't want to stress you out knowing that Misha, a guy that cannot see with his eyes, is 3 for 3 on this challenge. But you could say he's cheating because his senses are heightened, his other senses, right? I've got 3 guns. These aren't totally wild, obscure guns where it's going to be like a DP28, and I'm like, what do you mean you can't guess a DP28? These are very common guns gun enthusiasts are into, so these aren't super crazy variants, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to play a sound. Just let me know you can hear the sound okay. I can adjust the volume accordingly. I want people in the comments to guess too, because for the first time, no one's going to see the gun. You're only all going to listen. I'm going to give you 3 guesses on the gun. If you want to ask for hints, I may or may not answer the hints, and then you can guess. Sound good?
Sure.
All right. Oh, this is so exciting. All right, return the volume up. Let me know if the sound is coming through okay for you. Here we go.
I did hear that. I'm going to try to turn my end up just a little bit more. Play it again.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a mag insertion,
Mm-hmm.
and we've racked a charging handle.
So my first thing I wanted to say right off the bat is it reminded me of this like hollow sound I get when I try to load my G3, right? So that big 308 mag into the receiver. It reminded me of that noise. It's like a distinct noise. However, then when I heard them rack the charging handle and let it go, unless they're unfamiliar with the proper procedure for loading that sort of gun, the charging handle is always back first, and then you slap it closed once the mag is inserted. So
good.
It threw me. It threw me with the coming back and letting it go. But I did want to say it kind of reminded me like a G3, so I'm just going to guess that G3 right.
Your first guess is incorrect when we get 3 guesses, but I want to tell you, you are red hot. You are on the right track. You with the charging handle, knowing there's a difference there, you are on the right track. It is not a G3 or any variant of a G3.
Okay.
I'm going to play a little more sound for you. So I want to give you a hint.
Sure, give me a hint.
It is definitely the same caliber as a G3. You hearing those mags, that very hollow sound of a large caliber, you were spot on.
I'm thinking, well then, and it's probably like a FAL or a Setme or something.
Is that your guess?
I'm gonna say FAL. Yeah.
Well, sir, you guessed correctly on your second guess.
All right.
It is indeed an FAL, and I want to say, Mishiko did a couple of things. I'll turn this down while we talk about it. I love hearing people like work it out in their brains what they're listening to. Like Mishiko, he would go, okay, I can tell it's an open bolt. I can tell there was a drum in that picture. So you did things like literally the mag, just the sound of the mag, I can tell it's like a big bore, a 308. And you were really good when you heard the charging handle. You were like, okay, I want to say G3, but I didn't hear him lock it back. It definitely sounded like it didn't travel back as far because obviously the FAL is a little bit different. You were red hot from the get-go, dude, so you were off to an awesome start.
And I didn't look. Somebody in here said FAL too, so I was not looking at the comments at all. I was just over here trying to listen. So
Yeah, but they'll steer you down the wrong road too.
yeah,
How many
right.
people here commented AK? That didn't sound anything like an AK. What are y'all doing? You're trying to make you're trying to make them fail. That's what you're trying to do. All right. Are you ready
Okay.
for
Yep.
number
I'm
2?
ready. Yes. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see. Remember, these are not super uncommon guns. So the next one is the first pistol that we've done.
Okay.
So that's your first hint. Let me go ahead and bring that up now. I gotta get to where he actually makes some noises. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Play back from the beginning again. That reminds me, that sound right there.
Uh-huh.
It almost sounds like, I could be way off here, but I want to say it's like a Ruger 22, like a Mark III or Mark IV. Like at that mag, it almost just sounds like I don't know, like it sounded like a one of them thin 22 mags going in the handle. But then I felt like, because it's hard, like a 22 unsuppressed out of a pistol is still pretty loud, so I couldn't really tell from the sound signature. But just the mag, it sounded like that. I could be, am I way off on that guess?
I would say the way the mag sounds is the biggest hint, but if that's your first guess, you are incorrect. It is not a
Okay.
Mark, what do they call those, like Mark 4s, Mark 3s?
Yeah, right. Okay, do it again then.
But you're on the right track listening to what that mag sounds like. I think we can all tell that is not a polymer mag.
Yeah.
You know, you could
Man, I
phone a
don't
friend
know.
in those comments. I see there's a lot of
don't know.
questions going on in there. You know, my first hint, these are not super uncommon guns. Clearly you can tell that that magazine is metal. Like it's clearly you can tell it's not a polymer mag.
There's a lot of 1911s in there. It's probably, see, you know what's funny? I don't own a 1911, so
Nor do I.
it could. I mean, it could very well be a 1911. Because 1911 is what, single stack, what, 7 rounds, metal mag.
Are you telling me you were counting the rounds? Also a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, okay, we'll go with 1911. That sounds like it probably could be.
1911 final answer?
Yeah.
Steve is 2
Yeah.
for 2. That is a 1911. I think the metal mag, not shooting a lot of rounds before it goes empty. The way the slide sounds, it's very metally. Probably would have been my first guess too. I'm like, well, I got to get 1911 out. A lot of our astute commenters guessed it right away. So you did a
Yeah.
great job on that one.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, I don't own one, so I think I've only shot maybe 2 1911s ever.
Well, I'm
Thanks for
actually
the-
surprised
thanks
that you
for the
guessed that. So yeah, thanks for the help, freaking commenters. I mean, what Luger probably I would say is a good guess. Browning High Power also a good guess. Some of these really obscure comments. Remember, I don't. It's easy if I throw some crazy random obscure variant up here, you'll never guess it. So we try to keep it in the lane of more common guns. The next one is the most difficult
Okay.
out of the 3. But you're 2 for 2, bro. You're about to like freaking tie with Michiko. That is
but how
not
many-
easy to do.
Did he get it wrong? Did he get it any guesses wrong of the 3? Like, did he get it first try?
I want to say on one gun, it took him 2 guesses. Everything else, it was like guess number 1.
Okay.
So 2 out of the 3, he got, first guess.
Okay.
All right. I'm just getting to the right point in the video. Stand by, Mr. Steve.
Sure.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. What are your first thoughts?
So, I don't know if I heard it wrong in the very beginning, but can you play just the loading portion of it again real quick?
Sure can.
It almost sounded like it was an MP5, the way the signature was, but I felt like charging handle back, mag out, mag in, charging handle forward is what it sounded like to me.
I mean, if that's your first guess, if you really think I would honestly give Steve MP5 an MP5, is that your first guess?
No, that's you said it's the hardest one, so unless you're trying to trick me, I doubt it's that.
You get 3 guesses. Is that your first guess?
Sure, go ahead. First guess. It's wrong, right?
Mr. Steve MP5 has just gone 3 for 3. Now, if you didn't guess the MP5, I was going to tell everyone to unsub from your channel, not follow you, because I've been building you up to be this MP5 guru. And then here you can't even guess an MP5 that has some of the most iconic sounds.
Yeah.
But you did a great job, dude. 3 for 3.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I know, clearly you're like, oh my God, this is an MP5, but would he honestly give me an MP5 as the hardest one?
Exactly. So when you said that and I heard it, I those sounds, like I hear those sounds all the time because the majority of what I run is an MP5, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I heard something wrong there. That's why I wanted to hear it again. So, yeah.
Well, congrats, dude. You did a great job on that one. Michiko is not going to be pleased, but it is what it is. We're going to have him on soon again one of these days, and I'm going to have to tell him someone tied his record. But yeah, man, one of these days, I know as we have Michiko on more, I'm going to have to start giving him like very difficult guns, because I'm telling you, the guy, when he breaks it down and he's like telling you what he's hearing, you're like, oh my God, this dude, okay, he can see. Because what we did when Michiko was on, we actually played the gun visually on the screen so the commenters could see. And I mean, he tore it apart surgically in his brain, and it was like, that's an open bolt, that's a drum, that's a PPSH 43, and would just
What's funny
name
is
it.
I thought that was going to be a lot harder, I think, than it was. Maybe it was because it was more common guns, but I got to thinking, I'm like, man, like semi-automatic pistols, they got to all probably sound the same. And then as I'm trying to work it through, I started finding myself like, listening to the sound of the mag versus how it's all that stuff. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool game.
Very cool, man. Let me see here. I think we've been going for a little while now, a little over an hour and a half. I want to give the commenters a chance to ask you any question, anything that we haven't covered yet. Clearly, his hearing is just as strong as his sight. We needed to know that. Now it's been 100% confirmed. If there's any questions that you guys want to know while you have him here, now's the time to ask those questions. No tips needed. First question we see, I'm going to throw it up on the screen. I'm going to have Steve answer that question. Yes, Michiko is a wizard. 100%. And we do appreciate, we've had over 100 of you guys watching this entire thing on a Saturday night. That definitely means a lot. Hopefully you guys have found Steve's channels, his YouTube and his Instagram, and you have followed those channels. I'm sure he really appreciates it. Okay, here's a great one, dude. Setme C and a G3. What are the differences?
So listen, I'm not a Setme guy. I mean, the only thing I can really tell you about the two is Setme is the original. HK then adopted the G3 after the Setme pattern, or the pattern of Setme, the roller gun. But I don't own a Setme. I mean, I know there's, if I'm not mistaken, like the furniture and stuff is different. I'm pretty sure, like the handguard and all that stuff is different. But
I know the rear sight's different.
yeah, I mean the roller. I mean, it's still roller delay. I think the main operation of the gun is you get that, that iconic roller delay. So, which is a great operation. Other than that, though, I mean, you have a Setme, don't you? You have some Setmes.
Not a Setme C. I had a PTR 91 for a little while, but I've been around a ton of Setme C kits, and
Okay.
I know the iron sights are slightly different. The wood furniture is different. They all take the same mags. They all operate the exact same way. The thread pitch is the same on the muzzle device. Trigger packs are the same. There's really not that much different about them, honestly. Considering the new brace ruling, would it still be worth getting an H&K SP5 even if you wouldn't SBR it?
I would say, I mean, I'm an NFA guy. I mean, some people are like, oh, you're a bootlegger or whatever, but I like my guns to be as accurate as possible to the full auto, the real deal gun. So I was never been a brace guy. I have like one pistol that's braced that I carry in a bag, just like a shit hits the fan type of thing. But other than that, I mean, I just SBR everything. So I would say if you don't want to SBR, I think they're kind of pointless to shoot as pistols. And any large pistol gun, to hold it out there and shoot, unless you're going to do that single point sling or whatever where you can brace off of it. I don't know.
Have you never seen Die Hard?
I mean, yeah, sure. They got it from the hip, and they got the sling, and
They were making hits in that movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
They also got full auto though. They're just letting it.
Just walk it in.
Yeah, right.
What's your favorite Star Wars character?
Oh, you know what's funny? I'm not a big Star Wars guy either. If I had to choose one, though,
And you can't say Baby Yoda.
yeah, I've heard that show on Disney is good. I've not watched it.
Oh, Mandalorian's great.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not a Star Wars. What's the? I don't know. I was always rooting for like the bad guys in a lot of those videos, just because like everybody's always rooting for the good guy.
Got to go for Darth Maul, Episode 1.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I do remember that video, that movie. Okay, we'll go Darth Maul.
See, I'm a Mace Windu guy myself because it's Sam L. Jackson, and he's going to get these motherfucking
right.
Siths off this motherfucking plane.
Yeah.
Rail welded to the receiver or claw mount? What's your preference?
Oh, it depends on what you're going for. I have both. It really just depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you want to do the top welded rail, I mean, it's obviously a lot easier for doing different things as far as different variety of sights. Claw, I have one of my guns. I think my SP. No, it's not the SP5. My SP5 has a KUSA rail on it, so that doesn't really count. But the old school claw mounts that I have on my Operation Nimrod gun, that's like the old what do you call it? Man, I'm just blanking out on it. It's like that old man. It's like a standard. I forget what the hell it's called. I'm blanking out right now. But those, they mount. You can mount. It's really specific. It's old school stuff. But
like what, Weaver?
No, not Weaver. It's the man. It's killing me. It was like right on the tip of my tongue. It's
Someone in the comments will say it. I guarantee.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now. I'm definitely blanking. Anyway, I would say if you want to be able to, it depends. I mean, definitely the original iconic look would be no welded top rail, and just claw mount an optic rail on there. But the only one I have that is welded is a PTR that just came that way.
Yeah, that's how ours is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, do you want like really clone correct, or do you just want the ease of mounting whatever freaking optic you have without an extra part?
Yeah.
Here's a great one. Steve, have you ever shot a Setme L? Clay, I know you have. I used to own one.
No, I have not. I've seen them. I've handled them. There's, I think a lot of people here have a gun list of, a mile long of things they want to own one day. And there's, all these things that are there. They just get pushed to the back burner for one reason or another. But no, I've not shot one.
Man, they're cool. They've got like a few, they don't really have all the features from like your typical rock and lock guns. Like you can't lock the charging handle back and slap it. It has like a really weird push button bolt hold open like by the sight. So I remember like pulling the bolt back with this hand, reaching my finger up, touching the iron sight, locking the bolt back, jamming a new mag, and still having to tap the bolt, the charging handle to send it forward. But I remember that gun was notorious. I know it's a common thing with roller lock guns, but dude, I went through extractor claw springs. Every time I took it out, the spring would break and my extractor claw would fall out of the bolt. Like literally, they would just fall out of the mag well. And I broke it a lot, and I even snapped the charging handle off one day. So, and another guy, the only other person I knew that owned one, broke his charging handle and also would go through the springs constantly. They used G3 springs, the same size, which I think they all use the same size, if I'm not mistaken, on the extractor claws, that little spring that holds them in.
Oh, and for Setmes versus G3s?
So, like, the Setme L, which is the 5.56.
Right, okay.
So it used basically like a G3 or a Setme C extractor claw spring. I just didn't know if that was the same size that the MP5 uses.
This extractor spring, you're talking the little metal. No, it's different. Pretty sure it's different.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's different too.
Yeah. The word I was looking for, the type was the Stanag claw mounts.
Got it.
Yeah. That was the word I was looking for.
A lot of people are naming their favorite Star Wars characters. Let's see. Do you like the H&K SP5 as it's normally imported with the caution and read manual markings, or do you like the B&T imported one without those warning markings?
I'm not really a big markings guy. I mean, so if you follow me, I did a 416 build, and in the process, I could choose how I wanted it marked, and I got rid of the markings that HK USA would have given the 416s for the military contracts. I just left them off. I thought it looked cleaner. It wasn't all this wording all over the place. So do I think about it? No. Would I prefer it not be there? Maybe, but it doesn't really. If I have a choice, I would leave it off. But if it just comes with it, then it is what it is.
Is your 416 video still viewable on YouTube, or have you taken that down?
No, it's still there. It's one of the last, before the SHOT Show videos, one of the last videos, I think, before SHOT Show.
Got it. Here it is right here. Yeah, we'll just let that baby play in the background. This thing's freaking dope.
Yeah, so if you look at that, I did this, what they call a CAG clone build. So that a lot of this, I took some liberties, if you watch the video, of things that I did to it that weren't in the original CAG guns. But it still has the same overall feel, just with some differences. That's what I was going for with this. And then in a lot of the videos I'm doing lately with either the 416 or the MP5, when I'm running and gunning, I kind of made this character called the Stig. So he's just like ninja'd out, all black baklava or ski mask. Mm-hmm. In this case, it's tan, so tan ski mask or baklava. And I'm running the by Davernov chest rigs. I know you know by Davernov, so he makes some good stuff. And I thought it was pretty like a cool accent, for this kind of lend it to the whole feel of the builds and like the whole running and gunning thing.
I was actually just, I had him make me a chest rig for FAL mags, and I was running it today at the range. First time I've ever brought it out and actually stuffed mags in it. Mm-hmm. Is the HK93 fun to shoot, or does it just make you want to shoot either an MP5 or a G3? Like, does it live up to the hype? Because they are very rare, all those variants. Like, decent versions are rare.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never had an opportunity to shoot one. I mean, that's why I'm I'm excited for any clones to come out, just because, they're just, I need sort of that to fill the hole in my MP5, well, HK collection of rifle guns or sub guns type thing, or not sub guns, but, just small PDW type guns.
Do you have a 308 variant?
Yeah, I have just the one. I did a G3K clone, so it was the PTR 12 and a half inch K3P, I believe they called it, and 308, and then I just SBR'd it, put a stock on, and did like the original telescoping convex stock that they call the meat tenderizer, because it's not comfortable at all to shoot, but it's correct for the build, so I leave it on.
I've shot one semi-auto variant. It was actually funny. It was one of those it was labeled as a Sentry kit build. But what was so crazy is I remember those things were selling for like, and people in the comments remind me, these were the 5.56 variants. They were kits that were sold as Sentry kit builds. However, people were buying these things from, I want to say it was like Classic Firearms, and they were buying them for like $700 or some dumb price, and they were getting them, and they opened the box and they had a PTR like build sheet and certificate of authenticity. So people were like, hold up, these kits are built by PTR, and the price on them was deep below $1,000. So people were getting all these Sentry labeled, HK33 variants, and we're getting PTR paperwork with them, and now those are like so heavily coveted, and guys got them for nothing. I don't know if you remember that when that happened.
No, I don't. I wasn't into it at that time enough to know, I guess, what was happening or what to look for. Somebody just David R with the Stig comment, I thought was funny. So when I was kind of trying to come up with a fun whatever name for like this operator, right? The operator. I just kept coming back to like the old school days of the British car show.
Yeah, Top Gear.
Yeah, Top Gear. And I was like, like the Stig's cool, whatever. So I just kind of went with the Stig, because nobody knows who he is, what he looks like, or whatever. So
it's the greatest car content ever made.
Yeah.
When Clarkson, Hammond, and May, the original three did Top Gear, dude. It's the best.
When they tried to redo the show, like a decade ago now, I enjoyed it. I watched it, but then as like the seasons went on, maybe we started the second season, they got away from what like the show was, and just was all like bullshit, like builds, like give you $500, make this car, and we'll like run it across country or whatever it was. And it kind of got away from the testing of cars and around the track, and kind of all that like other stuff.
I loved it when they had it just like a beater shitbox car, and they would put all the celebrities in it.
Yeah, right.
Well, it was called like the celebrity and the reasonably priced car. That was awesome. They my favorite episode ever. I think they were in Burma. I want to say it was Burma. They had
Myanmar.
They had a Suzuki Samurai, a Range Rover Discovery. It was like a Land Rover Discovery, some 80s model, and they had a FJ40. And they like literally drove this off a boat into the jungle and hacked their way through a jungle and just drove it like as far as they could through a rainforest. It's a 2-part series. I still watch that to this day. I've probably seen them both episodes a dozen times. Wow. I just love their humor, and they tried to make like American versions of Top Gear with like comedians and like Tanner Faust, and it just never worked.
Yeah, that's when I was told. Yeah,
never worked.
Yeah.
Let's see, Steve. If the H&K engineers asked you as a consultant to make some changes to the MP5 design to make it better, what improvements would you suggest for better longevity or performance?
I mean, so one, I think if that ever happened, I would probably look over my shoulder, smack myself, and be like, "Me? Are you sure you got the right guy?" But I mean, I think one, I'll say, there is a reason that this design has been virtually unchanged for, 60 years or, whatever it is. just because it just runs and it's reliable. The one thing that everybody always says, that sucks about it is that one of the weakest points is that extractor spring on the bolt. Those little copper extractors just they break and they wear down so easy, and they're easy enough to replace, and they're cheap enough. But it's just that I think that is the one thing that if they could redesign, but then again they're having to redesign the whole bolt and figure out another way to do that. But I would say that would be the thing.
That's a tough question. I mean, the gun is so good. I remember when I was getting heavy into the KP9 and Henry over at 9 Holes was asking me, he's like, okay, honest question, compared to an MP5, does it recoil as soft? Like, is it as easy to run? I'm like, man, at one point, I honestly tried to convince myself that a KP9 was as good as an MP5. And I don't know, maybe the operation of it's a bit different. Maybe some would say better. I don't know. But, dude, I have yet to this day to shoot anything in 9mm that has the recoil impulse and that suppresses as well as an MP5. I've got Colt 9mm, the KP9s, Uzis, all that stuff.
Well, it's just
nothing
that
really
roller
compares.
delay, man. It's the roller delay, and then I mean, you've obviously have shot them full auto. I mean, to shoot them things full auto is like, it's so pleasant. Like, I mean, they just stay. They just are flat, and you can just, drill holes in paper targets. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's dumb. I mean, the gun doesn't move, and it's
Yeah.
some guns. A lot of people don't know this. Like, a lot of people will shoot like an AK in semi-auto with like a slant muzzle device, and it just pushes them all over the place, especially in 7.62. But that gun was designed for full auto fire and really finding like this cadence that balances out with that muzzle device. So it's funny when you see someone shoot like a standard AKM with a slant muzzle device with a full auto rip, you will see that gun totally found like this equilibrium where the whole gun's just sort of ginning, and it finds that groove and it holds a tight group. That whole gun was designed for that. It wasn't really designed for all of us Americans to buy semi-auto variants and run slant brakes on it all the time, squeezing 6-pound triggers. MP5s are kind of the same way. Like, in full auto, they just find this freaking balance where, I mean, you could damn near shoot the thing with an outstretched hand, and the gun just finds that solid, that straight line, and everything balances out. Everything, like when it starts to tip up, the bolt's already gone home, and eventually everything just holds a very flat line.
I've only shot one
awesome.
AK full auto. I enjoyed it. I mean, it took me it was the first time, so it definitely. I think I did 2 mag dumps, and the first mag dump I was didn't know what to expect, and then after I got through that one, the second one I got dialed into what I needed to do.
Well, what you need to do is come to Lethal Weapons, and then you can shoot full auto MP5s all freaking weekend.
I know.
I'll tell you what, dude. I will make you this promise that the rest is on you, though. We've got a few full auto MP5s in the fleet. Technically, I'm on range, so I'm in the area, so it's legal. If you want to come shoot the match, I will provide you a full auto MP5 to shoot the match with. And I'll give you a pick. You want a K? You want a full length? You want a fixed stock? You want a collapsing stock? What do you want? We have Knights rails on it, everything. If you just freaking show up and get a ticket and come out and actually shoot that match, dude, I will put a full auto MP5 on iron sights in your freaking hand.
Yeah, that sounds mighty fine, for sure. We talked about this. If I come, I gotta bring the. I think I'd have to bring the XM8 just because there probably won't be any other ones there.
Honestly, we've been going almost 2 hours. That's what we should close on.
Yeah.
Steve has a variant that maybe some of you didn't even know was a real thing. Raise your hand in the comments if you've ever played Black Ops, okay? And the XM8, we all know, is kind of like the freaking dolphin gun, right? That's a real gun. At least it's not like super prevalent, like it wasn't like adopted by anyone, but that's a real functioning gun. So Mr. Steve here has
it's down there. It's down there. I think I did the overview of that maybe like last year.
I just saw it.
So. Yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah.
Look at this freaking thing. This is a real gun.
So
So
this is so yeah.
this is what you start with. What would you call this version?
So that's the SL8. So
Okay.
that's So that's like the G36, the American or post 94 band semi-auto version of the G36.
So you would have to have that
You
and the
need to
help
have
of
that one
Tommy
first.
Built to
Yeah,
actually make this gun happen.
yeah, yeah. So you got to start with that. You got to find one of those. And before HK re-released it, it was like you had to find them used and they're expensive. But then they re-release it. So I was like, as soon as they re-release it, I had to buy one because then the XM8 becomes a real thing, and that was like my dream gun. If I could build any gun, this was it. So to be able to do it was great. It
Look
turns
at
into
this
that right
thing.
there.
And you even got like a tan one. Like, holy
Yeah,
crap.
so like I didn't go with the sand color RAL that you probably see, but a little darker. It's the coyote, but I saw light looks different in natural light versus indoor light. But I mean, and that's the original Insight optic too. So I told myself I wasn't going to do this build if I couldn't find the original optic that was made and packaged with this gun for the trials. So found the optic. Once I had the optic secured, I moved forward with buying the SL8 and then doing the conversion.
Would you say out of any project that you've taken on firearms related, was this the most ambitious?
I mean, I think so because it just needed. There's a lot of moving parts. Like I mean, there's for me the optic was make or break. I needed the optic, but to need a gun to turn it into something else is another hurdle. So it's spending money on this gun, and then you got to spend money to send it to somebody else to do all the work that's needed and do the conversions and all that stuff. And depending on which way you go, I mean, all that stuff's not cheap. So it's really just like a labor of love. And this is not something I shoot often at all. I've maybe had it out 2-3 times, just because it's more of just like a conversation piece and just something that you have in the collection. I've shot it. It runs. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's just, it's one of the things you don't want to really, mess up or break somehow just because of it is what it is.
So essentially, like it works exactly like a G36.
Yeah.
Like it
So
looks like it
it's,
has the same charging
yeah,
handle.
it's the same. It's a G36, just more modernized, I would say. So they changed some things, did some stuff to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's essentially a G36, same mags, same bolt. Um, Things in the rear operate a little different, which is why you need the SL8, and you can't just get like a Tommy Built. Tommy Built makes his the TP36s. Like you can buy a G36 from him, but you can't take one of those and make it into an XM8. The whole rear section is different, so you need the SL8 to do that.
Got it. And how, in 2023, how difficult is it to come across an SL8, would you say?
I mean, I've seen definitely on the forums, the guys have them, but I mean, just out and around, I mean, I don't see anybody else really posting about them. There's one guy online I follow. I think his name is my DSM8U or something like
Man, I
that. He
know
has
that
one.
name. I know that
Yeah,
name.
he did one. He always changes the color on it though. His is gray now, I think. But yeah, there's not many because I mean, it certainly is it's a project. I mean, and I don't know anybody except for Tommy himself that has the actual original optic because they're kind of unobtainium. They're hard to find. If you do, they're expensive.
So how'd you find
Once you
it?
find, well, so funny story. A year before I even got the SL8, I was somewhere in the comments somewhere on some post. I said, man, that optic, I need the optic. And some guy just was like, yo, I got one, I'll sell you. And so we were DMing for a little bit. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I'll sell it to you, but this is my price. And I'll tell you, I mean, it was $1,200 for the optic, but which
Man, I
is
thought it would have been more, honestly.
yeah, reasonable because on Gunbroker and stuff, it would have been more. And this isn't like it came with the box and the paperwork. I mean, it's like a mint, version of this. Like it's nice. He had it. He bought it for a project he was going to do. Never used it. And he was like, look, $1,200, it's yours. That's it. So a year went by, and then finally SLA came back out, and I'm like, dude, I reached out. I'm like, do you still have it? He said, yes. I'm like, I'm buying. So I bought it. So just right off the bat, $1,200 in the hole for just the optic. You could say, well, yeah, I mean, some optics are that expensive or more, but we're talking about like 2000s tech, like 2004 tech. So I mean, it's antiquated, it's big, but it's what's on the gun. So overpriced, sure, but it is what it is. And then you get into the whole everything else.
So this gun, it has no iron sights, like no way to even mount iron sights.
No, well, so in this version, right, there's a few differences that Tommy either chose not to do or whatever. The original XM8 in the front handguard, there would be a little cut in the front, and there's a little recessed flip up little front sight thing that you can flip up or down in the actual real gun. That's not on his kits. And I think on the rear, there was one that popped up maybe in the rear of the carry handle. I can't recall. So there's a few, it's not a one-for-one exact copy. Obviously there's some differences that had to be made. But again, the overall feel and the overall build of the gun is an XM8. So that was really the most important thing for me.
It's so badass. Like we have some really fuddy ranges in my area. Like I can't imagine just strolling into a gun range with all the fuds and just plopping this thing on the table and starting to shoot. Like I can only imagine the heads that would turn. Like it looks like an airsoft gun for people that don't know. But like for a younger crowd that, like, I'm seeing all the comments like Battlefield, Call of Duty, Ghost Recon, where this gun is very popular, would see that and go, no shit. Like that's actually a firing XM8. Yeah. It's totally crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably cool. I mean, I got some of the MP5 versions and stuff are really cool. I got some cool stuff. I collect guns just generally, so I got a lot of different kind of stuff. But this is probably like the most unique, I would say, and most rare, or something that was a trial gun that never was adopted, so it never made production. So this is, Tommy Build is certainly doing the Lord's work. I mean, for him to be able to offer a kit, for that is, it's great. It's great.
Well, man, I got to tell you, you have really been one of those guys that really lit a fire under my ass to really start paying attention to MP5s in general. Because, man, I mean, AKs have stolen my heart for a long time.
Yeah, AKs are cool.
And I'm telling you, your content alone really made that stuff look super cool, and it made it look kind of attainable. I still really think the Century imports, man, me as a guy that I don't have a ton of money to spend on a whole new kink when it comes to guns. I've got so much money tied up in AK. So I look at these MP5s and I'm like some of these people in the comments where I'm like, dude, I don't have the time or money to start getting into roller guns. But now that we have a couple, I'm like, dude, why did it take me so long to get into this stuff? They are just so cool. They shoot so good. They're so sexy. Some guns, and I think we can agree here, there are some guns that are just so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, man. And you got to have the red tape on the mags. If you don't put red tape on a mag on an MP5, you're
writing
doing
that
it
down.
wrong.
I've got red tape. I'm writing that down because I don't have red tape on anything. Real quick,
on our way out, play the clip on my reel on the Instagram when I transition through a bunch of different MP5 versions. I think people who have not seen that or seen some of the versions that I have might be interesting to see the transition between some of the more iconic MP5s. It's probably about a 30 or 40 second video.
I'm looking for it. When did you post it?
I would say not too long ago, right before SHOT Show. So a couple weeks. I think it's pinned. It's pinned on the top of there's 4 or 5 MP5s sitting across the wall.
All right, we're going to find it together. Here's the top of your reels. Let's see. Here's the top of your reels.
Oh, go to the main. Sorry, no, go up. All of them are reels. Just go to the main. Yeah, the main one. Oh, it's not pinned. Oh, sorry. Go back to the other thing. Go back where you were. Reels. That's weird. Scroll down. I just saw it. Keep going. Right there. You see that line of 5 MP5s? Yeah,
this one here. All right.
Yep.
Damn, bro, where'd you get that watch?
Yeah.
That's freaking cool.
It's all in the transition.
Oh, there's the flashlight.
Yeah, that's it. It just went through those 5. But those are like the 5, I think, except for the very first one, it has a lot of more modern stuff on it. Those other 4 are like just steps in time of where the MP5 kind of went to in different classic configurations.
How long did you have to stand in that same spot doing that over and over to get there?
It wasn't too bad because I had a guy I just stood in the same spot, had my phone on a tripod.
He was handing you the guns?
I switched it off, handed off, and just went through it.
We've done the same thing where we did like the video game guy where you're like doing the character select and your feet like cool. Can't leave the same spot. Exactly. And you have to have someone hand you the gun, hand you the different gear, and you have to change without moving your feet. But the effect is worth it. Yeah. Well, dude, man, we've been going for 2 hours. We still have a ton of people watching. Oh, dude. We've been talking about doing this for a little while, so I'm so happy to have you on. But I am so thankful that we had you. I'm so thankful that we got someone in here that's into something other than AKs, because, you can get burnt out. My offer stands, dude. You make your way to Lethal Weapons. You can shoot the whole match with a full auto. No pressure. Just know. You show up, I'll put one in your hand of your choosing, and you can do what you want with it. I want to thank all of you guys that watched for the past 2 hours and drank and hung out with us. And, man, Davernoff's in, tipping $20. Hey. Davernoff, you got to knock that stuff off. In fact, while he's here, I never have a rig that's too far away, man. This stuff's good. Stuff's really freaking good. And I love the freaking Russian prison tattoos, bro. I'm going to get one right here on my neck. Exactly. Don't tell Rachel. Davernoff's an awesome dude. Steve, man, thank you for doing this. Thank you for playing along with these stupid games that we do. But hey, you tied Misha Co, so that's awesome. Davernoff, thank you so much for being here. You should not have tipped us, but I love you, bro. Was making these chest rigs behind enemy lines for a long time, and he's finally out on his own. Opened up a business. He's quit his day job. He's doing this stuff full time, so he needs your support. Go check out Davernoff on his website and check out these chest rigs. Steve, if you want to leave us with any final thoughts, now's the time, bro.
I would say, listen, if you're wanting to learn more about HK stuff or just MP5 stuff, I could say you certainly could follow me, but there are a lot of other great resources out there, especially if you have one and you want to look into getting some training. Definitely check out James Williamson, because again, he is like in the HK world the guy. So check him out. But listen, I appreciate anybody here that's followed me or maybe not followed me. I appreciate you guys, taking the time here, talk to us a little bit, maybe check out my page if you get a chance. But yeah, just trying to have fun here and share the passion with as many people that'll watch it. So I appreciate you having me on.
And guys, with that, remember, if you want to support Steve, by all means, go check out his YouTube channel. Go check out his Instagram channel. It's Steve MP5 everywhere you look. Steve_MP5 everywhere you look, and you'll find some super rad content. He has some awesome SHOT Show coverage as well. And he was also affected by all this YouTube bullshit, but I think a lot of that's turning around. So it's awesome content. I'm sure he would really appreciate you swinging by. Thanks again. Lethal Weapons Texas. Tickets are still on sale. Just lethalweaponstx.com. It's super easy to find. Buy a ticket. I'm going to make Steve come out. I promise you. I'm just going to say, you want to come out and meet Steve, come out to Lethal Weapons. He's going to be there. I'm not even giving the dude an option.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll definitely see you next time.
Thanks, guys.